we have explored consciousness a lot in the last few weeks. And as you know, I've been using AI to explore some of my own worldviews and seeing if they're supported by others, who supports them, who doesn't support them. And so today I went on another expedition, and it was inspired by my remembering that as a child, I used to ask my parents who created me. And they said, as most parents do, or at least did, God created you. And then, of course, the next question was, who created God? What created God? And it went on and on till my parents got fed up and said, just shut up and go and play. So that question remains. If God created the universe, you, me, and everything else, then who or what created God? If you're an atheist, this is an irrelevant question because everything should be explainable by the laws of physics, which are very precise, although we don't know why those laws exist. But nevertheless, laws of physics and empirical evidence are used to basically explain everything, and there's no need for God. There's no need for that hypothesis. So that takes care of the scientific worldview. However, I want to go a little deeper today into this question. So I started today by going on ChatGPT and saying, I want a formulation for the argument that the laws of nature have no explanation other than they could be regularities of experience in non-local consciousness. Different species experience the laws of nature differently, therefore the laws of nature are experienced differently in different species. Okay, so here's the explanation that came forth. Your argument posits that the laws of nature, which govern the behavior and interactions of natural phenomena, do not have any underlying explanation other than being regularities of experience in non-local consciousness. In other words, these laws are not dependent on any conscious observer, but are simply patterns or regularities that exist in the fabric of reality. Furthermore, your argument acknowledges that different species experience the laws of nature differently. Due to variations in sensory systems, cognitive abilities, and perspectives, different species perceive and interpret the world in different ways. Therefore, the laws of nature may be experienced differently by different species. By combining these premises, the conclusion follows that the laws of nature, which have no inherent explanation and are experienced differently by different species, reflect the diverse perspectives and experiences of conscious beings within the natural world. And then I asked it to give a visual, and here's the visual. Quite nice. Somewhat similar to the book cover. Okay, then I said, let's go a little deeper. And if the laws of nature are regularities of experience and they are uncaused, then what's the next argument in causality? And where I went with this, I did a few questions before that, but what I did say or ask was this question, which is very important. If consciousness is non-local, then it cannot have a cause. It is without cause, and so are the regularities of experience that we call natural laws without cause. Please elaborate. Answer. The concept of non-local consciousness suggests that consciousness is not confined to a specific location or tied to physical processes in the brain. It proposes that consciousness may extend beyond the boundaries of the individual and may have connections or interactions with other conscious entities or larger universe. or the larger universe. What it didn't say is even the individual is an experience in consciousness. But let's keep going. If consciousness is indeed non local and not bound by physical causality, it raises the questions about the traditional understanding of cause and effect relationships. In the scientific realm, cause and effect are fundamental principles used to explain phenomena and establish natural laws. These laws describe regularities and patterns in the physical world based on observable cause and effect relationships. However, if consciousness is non local and without cause, it challenges the notion of causality as a fundamental principle. It suggests that the regularities and patterns we observe in our experiences, which we refer to as natural laws, may also be without cause. This perspective posits that the regularities we observe in the physical world could be the result of a deeper non local consciousness that influences and shapes our experiences. It suggests that these regularities emerge from a more fundamental level of reality, where consciousness plays a role in organizing and influencing the patterns we perceive. It is important to note that the ideas of non local consciousness and the absence of causality in relation to natural laws are areas of philosophical and scientific debate. While there may be alternative perspectives that challenge the traditional understanding of cause and effect, they have not been widely accepted yet or integrated into mainstream scientific frameworks. In summary, if consciousness is non local and without cause, it challenges the traditional understanding of causality and raises questions about the regularities we observe in our experiences. It suggests that the patterns and natural laws we perceive may emerge from a deeper level of reality influenced by consciousness. However, these ideas are still the subject of ongoing debate and exploration in both philosophy and science. So I went the next step. I said, in Eastern wisdom traditions, non-dual traditions, Eastern wisdom traditions, yogic traditions, consciousness without cause, and therefore divine, and it is not the traditional God of monotheistic religions, but the uncreated reality which modifies itself into everything that we observe in the theater of space-time and causality. Please elaborate. Answer. In Eastern wisdom traditions, particularly non-dual traditions, there is a perspective that consciousness is without cause and therefore divine. This understanding of consciousness differs from the concept of God in monotheistic religions. According to non-dual traditions, consciousness is seen as the uncreated reality, the fundamental essence of existence that underlies and pervades everything. It is considered to be the ultimate source from which all things arise. This consciousness is not attributed to a personal deity or a separate entity, but rather it is understood as the inherent nature of existence itself. Remember, Sat Chitananda. In this view, consciousness is seen as the primordial ground of being, the substratum from which all phenomena emerge. It is not subject to the limitations of space-time, and it transcends the causal chains of the physical world. As such, it is considered to be beyond the realm of cause and effect. From this perspective, the diversity of the universe, including the theater of space and time and causality that we observe, is seen as a manifestation or modification of this uncreated consciousness. It is believed that this consciousness spontaneously and effortlessly expresses itself in various forms and phenomena, including the appearance of the physical world, living beings, and all the experiences we have. The emphasis in non-dual traditions is on realizing the inherent divinity of consciousness through direct experiential insight. The aim is to go beyond conceptual understanding and directly experience the uncreated reality that is beyond the limitations of the mind and senses. It is important to note that this understanding of consciousness as the uncreated reality is specific to non-dual traditions and may differ from the concepts of God found in monotheistic religions. While both perspectives acknowledge the divine aspect, they approach it from different angles and conceptual frameworks. In summary, in non dual traditions, consciousness is considered to be without cause and is seen as the divine, uncreated reality that permeates everything. It is not associated with a personal deity, but is understood as the fundamental essence of existence itself. This perspective suggests that the diversity of the universe arises as a modification of this uncreated consciousness. So now we get to the heart of the question I asked initially. If God created the universe, if the divine created the universe, who created God? And the answer is the divine is uncreated. It is outside of space-time and not subject to the laws of space-time and causality, which are actually appearances in consciousness when it modifies itself as mind, and then intellect, and then ego, and then it formulates all these ideas of cause and effect, when in fact at the heart of creation there is no cause and there is no effect. It's all acausal, non-local, quantum mechanical interrelatedness. Now, if you get this, then you need to experience it. And how do we experience it? By tracing every experience back to its source through mindful awareness of the five senses, mindful awareness of the body, mindful awareness of mental space, mindful awareness of the web of relationship, and ultimately, mindful awareness of awareness. Awareness of awareness is self-awareness. Only through self-awareness you will realize that you are the uncreated divine cause of everything. You are the uncreated divine cause of everything, including the process that is called body-mind and entangled universe. So that uncreated divine you is not subject to birth and death. It is spaceless, timeless, causeless, fundamental, irreducible, borderless, and infinite being, not subject to birth or death, not subject to cause and effect. And even the laws of physics are, in fact, experiences of regularities in that divine being. There is only God.